I stepped off the plane and was immediately hit by a wave of dry, desert heat. Not the kind that slowly builds, but one that wraps around you instantly. Like the city's way of saying, "Welcome to Marrakesh." The airport was modern, but buzzing with energy. People moved quickly, speaking in a mix of Arabic, French, and broken English. I fumbled my way through customs, exchanged some cash, and stepped outside into the unknown. The taxi ride into the city felt like diving headfirst into chaos. Cars weaved in and out of traffic like dancers, mopeds zipped past with entire families balanced on them. And donkeys pulled carts piled with everything from rugs to fruit. My driver didn't say much, but every now and then he'd gesture out the window and mutter something in French. I just nodded and smiled, pretending I understood. Palm trees lined the road, and the Atlas Mountains hovered faintly in the background, hazy and majestic. Then we reached the Medina, the old walled city. Everything changed. The colors deepened. The noise intensified. Red ochre buildings stood shoulder to shoulder, their walls worn by time but still full of life. Vendors shouted, kids ran between narrow alleys. The smell of spices mixed with exhaust fumes and the distant aroma of grilled meat. I was dropped near Gemma Elephane, the central square, and told to continue on foot. The moment I stepped into the Medina, I realized I was somewhere completely unlike anywhere I'd ever been. It wasn't just the sights or sounds, it was the feeling. Marrakesh pulses. It doesn't wait for you to catch up. It pulls you forward. I walked slowly, unsure of where I was going, but too curious to stop. The streets were a living maze. Everything around me was moving. Locals, tourists, carts, cats. I clutched my backpack a little tighter and let myself get swept up in it. My first moments in Marrakesh weren't polished or instant. They were loud, overwhelming, a little disorienting, and absolutely unforgettable. I didn't know it then, but this was exactly the kind of welcome the city gives. No filters, no apologies, just full immersion, and I was ready to explore. The Medina of Marrakesh isn't just a place, it's an experience. The moment I stepped deeper inside, the streets began to narrow, twisting and turning like veins through the heart of the city. Every corner brought a new surprise. A man balancing a cart of oranges, a kitten sleeping on a rug, the scent of saffron and sandalwood drifting from unseen doorways. I didn't have a map, and even if I did, it would have been useless. The Medina doesn't care for logic. Left turns lead to dead ends. Right turns bring you face to face with a spice shop, or a leather tannery, or a smiling stranger offering directions. For a small tip, I got lost within minutes, and honestly, it was the best thing that could have happened. The souk buzzed with life. Lanterns hung from wooden beams overhead, casting golden patterns across the walls. Stalls overflowed with hand-woven carpets, colorful ceramics, hammered brass trays, and towers of fragrant herbs. One man beckoned me over with a toothy grin, offering mint tea and insisting I admire his collection of Berber jewelry. I hadn't planned to buy anything, but 15 minutes and 2 cups of tea later, I walked away with a silver ring and a story to tell. The soundscape was like a soundtrack. The call to prayer echoing in the distance, the rhythmic hammer of a blacksmith's tools, vendors shouting in Arabic and French. It was overwhelming, and yet somehow calming. I wasn't just walking through Marrakesh, I was a part of it. Every step deeper into the Medina pulled me further from the outside world. I wasn't lost. I was exactly where I needed to be. I didn't truly understand Morocco until I tasted it. The food in Marrakesh isn't just about flavor, it's storytelling. Every dish, every spice, every bite carries a sense of history, family, and tradition passed down through generations. And my first taste came not from a restaurant, but a street cart in Gemma. It was early evening and the square was just beginning to transform. Smoke rose from countless grills. Vendors set up their stalls under flickering bulbs, and the scent in the air shifted. Rich, spiced, I followed my nose to a stall serving lamb. The meat was slow-cooked, tender enough to fall apart with a spoon, buried in sweet apricots, almonds, and a thick, spiced sauce. I sat at a shared plastic table with strangers, dipping torn bread into the bowl, silent but smiling. Food needs no translation. Next came the orange juice. Freshly squeezed, ice cold, poured from tall jugs into glass cups by boys no older than 14. It cost just a few dirhams, but tasted like sunshine. Sweet, sharp, refreshing. Then came the real surprise. Snail soup, a local delicacy I hadn't planned on trying, but curiosity won. It was earthy, peppery, and much better than I expected. Every meal in Marrakesh felt like an invitation to slow down, to savor, to connect. From rooftop restaurants serving couscous with caramelized onions to tiny stalls frying up MSC men flatbread in the morning light. The food wasn't just sustenance, it was culture, it was memory, it was magic. After the noise and color of the Medina, I needed stillness. Marrakesh is a city of contrasts. Wild energy on one side of the wall, complete peace on the other. I found that peace in places that don't shout for attention, places that feel like secrets you're lucky to stumble upon. The first was my tucked away behind a plain wooden door. The chaos of the outside world vanished the moment I stepped inside. Cool tile underfoot, the gentle trickle of a fountain, orange trees swaying gently in the courtyard. The air smelled of rosewater and mint. No cars, no shouting, just calm. It was like finding a hidden sanctuary in the middle of a storm. Later, I visited Jardin Majorel, the famous garden once owned by Yves Saint Laurent. I expected beauty, but I didn't expect the stillness. Bamboo groves rustled softly, cobalt blue walls glowed under the sun, and shallow pools reflected everything in perfect silence. Even surrounded by visitors, it felt meditative, like the garden had taught everyone to whisper. Then came the hammam, a traditional Moroccan spa. It was nothing like I imagined. Warm, humid, shadowy. I was scrubbed, rinsed, and rinsed again until I felt completely renewed. It was uncomfortable at first, being so exposed in a place so foreign, but once I let go, I understood. It wasn't just about being clean. It was about starting fresh. These quiet moments were just as powerful as the busy ones. Marrakesh teaches you to embrace both, the vibrant and the still, the fast and the slow. And in that stillness, I felt something I hadn't expected. Peace, real, deep, lasting peace. Before arriving in Marrakesh, I thought I knew what to expect. Markets, color, heat, maybe a few cultural surprises. What I didn't expect was how deeply the city would affect me. It didn't just challenge my senses. It challenged my pace, my assumptions, and the way I travel. Marrakesh taught me patience. In the Medina, nothing moves in a straight line. You get lost. You retrace your steps. You follow your instincts instead of a map. At first, I found it frustrating. I wanted structure. I wanted certainty. But slowly, I began to let go. I stopped rushing. I started noticing. A father teaching his son to polish metal in a tiny workshop. A man gently feeding a stray cat at the corner of a spice stall. A woman handing me a tangerine just because I looked tired. These small, quiet moments stay with you. It also taught me presence. Marrakesh doesn't let you switch off. There's too much happening. Too much life in every direction. You have to be there. You can't scroll through your phone while walking, or you'll miss something. Or walk straight into a donkey cart. Every smell, every sound, every interaction demands your attention. It's intense, but it wakes you up. It reminds you that travel isn't just about where you go. It's about how much of yourself you bring with you. And most of all, Marrakesh taught me humility. The beauty of the city isn't polished. It's in the chipped tiles, the faded doors, the hands of craftsmen who create from memory, not manuals. There's a pride in the people here. Not loud, but steady. A pride in their work, their food, their family. They don't rush to explain themselves. They let the city speak for itself. You're welcome to listen, but only if you're willing to truly see. Leaving Marrakesh felt like waking up from a vivid dream. One that leaves a mark, even after it's over. It wasn't always easy, and it wasn't always comfortable, but that's what made it real. That's what made it unforgettable. It was more than a trip. It was a shift in perspective. And I know now, it won't be my last time here.